We'll transition at that point with her continuing the meeting. Pursuant to Section 844112 of the Tennessee Code Annotated, this time in the beginning of the meeting is reserved for public comment on legislative items appearing on this agenda. Members of the public wishing to speak may sign up on the council committee sign-up sheet posted outside the room where the committee is scheduled to meet. I see that we have one person on our public comment sign-up, Mr. David Pomeroy. Would you still like to come up and speak, sir? Okay.
Are we on? Yes. Thank you, Dave Pomeroy, president of the Nashville Musicians Association and longtime Nashville resident. This is related to Bill BL 2025-956. I just want to go on record as saying that the music community, Music Row, is extremely disturbed by this proposal that NDOT got passed by the Metro and Traffic Parking Commission to convert 209 free parking spaces in front of our businesses to paid parking. We will be contesting this in every way possible. There was no community engagement whatsoever, despite claims to the contrary. It's a very destructive move that has no respect for how Nashville became Music City. And we are stunned and in disbelief and just want to make sure that everyone knows that we are going to do whatever it takes to undo something that never should have been done, which we've had to do several times with NDOT. So I hope that you all will keep an eye on what they're doing and how they're doing it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Okay, we are going to move to the consent agenda. I have everything on consent except item 10, BL 2025-956. Does anything else need to come off consent? Okay. If that's the case, then I will go ahead and read the consent agenda items, and then we will take the vote. RS 2025-1645, a resolution approving amendment number 2 to a sole source agreement between the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County and Vanderbilt University for partnering services for a strengthening mobility and revolutionizing transportation grant from the United States Department of Transportation. Sponsors Toombs, Evans Siegel, Allen, Hill, and Spain. RS 2025-1646, a resolution approving an application for a Healthy and Sustainable Communities grant from the U.S. Conference of Mayors to the Metropolitan Government, acting by and through the Nashville Department of Waste Services to rethink waste management, expand services available to residents, and improve related environmental and human health challenges by providing free curbside compost collection to 750 households included in the food scrap pickup program. Sponsors Toombs, Evans Siegel, Allen, Gad, Hill, and Spain. RS 2025-1647, a resolution approving a contract between the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County and DJ Schubeck Company to provide Moino products and parts for the Department of Water and Sewerage Services. Sponsors Toombs, Evans Siegel, and Spain. RS 2025-1648, a resolution approving Amendment 1 to a contract between the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County and the TDH Company, LLC, for the provision of Duperon, Enviromax, Xylem Sanitaire, and Schand and Jour products, parts, and services for the Central Water Reclamation Facility. Sponsors Toombs, Evans Siegel, and Spain. RS 2025-1649, a resolution approving Amendment 2 to a contract between the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County and Southern Sales Company, a division of Tencarva Machinery. Sponsors Toombs, Evans Siegel, and Spain. RS 2025-1650, a resolution approving an application for a Healthy and Sustainable Communities grant from the U.S. Conference of Mayors to the Metropolitan Government, acting by and through Metro Water Services to complete a solar project at the Shelby Park Pump Station to help grow Metropolitan Nashville's portfolio of solar assets and reduce the city's reliance on traditional energy sources. Sponsors Cap, Toombs, Evan Siegel, Allen, and Gadd. RS 2025-1651, a resolution authorizing the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County to abandon fire hydrant assembly and to accept new fire hydrant assembly for property located at 888B West Trinity Lane, also known as Northview Senior Living. Okay, thank you. Toombs, sponsors Toombs, Horton, and Evans Siegel. RS 2025-1652, a resolution authorizing the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County to accept new public sanitary sewer force main for 3 properties located at 4056, 4062, and 4080 Brickchurch Pike, also known as the Brickchurch Pike Sewer Extension. Sponsors Gamble, Horton, and Evans Siegel. RS 2025-1653, a resolution authorizing the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County to accept new public water main, fire hydrant assembly, and sanitary sewer manhole for property located at 403 Ewing Drive. Sponsors Gamble, Horton, and Evans Siegel. BL 2025-1119, an ordinance approving a greenway conservation easement between the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County through the Metropolitan Board of Parks and Recreation and Riverwalk at Mill Creek Homes Association, Inc. for greenway improvements at 700B Mill Creek Meadow Drive. Sponsors Gregg, Toombs, Horton, Evans Siegel, Vo, Gadd, and Allen. BL 2025-1120, an ordinance approving a greenway conservation easement between the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County through the Metropolitan Board of Parks and Recreation and D.R. Horton, Inc. for greenway improvements at 4399 Maxwell Road. Sponsors Harrell, Toombs, Horton, Evans Siegel, Vo, Welsh, and Allen. BL 2025-112, an ordinance providing the honorary street name designation of Dr. Harold W. Jordan Way for a portion of Marina Street. Sponsors Taylor, Coopin, Suara, Stiles, and Ewing. BL 2025-1122, an ordinance authorizing 450 to 460 Bidco LLC to construct, install, and maintain 2 underground encroachments and 1 aerial encroachment at 450 and 460 James Robertson Parkway. Sponsors Coopin, Horton, and Evans Siegel. BL 2025-1123, an ordinance authorizing Nashville Phase 1 property holder, LLC, to construct and install aerial and underground encroachments at 512 Houston Street. Sponsors Vo, Horton, and Evans Siegel. BL 2025-1124, an ordinance authorizing the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County to acquire permanent and temporary easements through negotiation, condemnation, and acceptance for the 1219 Battlefield Drive Stormwater Improvement Project for 3 properties located at 1217C and 1219C Battlefield Drive and 1208 Clifton Lane. Sponsors Horton and Evans Siegel. BL 2025-1125, an ordinance authorizing the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County to abandon existing public utility and drainage easement rights for property located at 1702 Temple Avenue. Sponsors Horton and Evans Siegel. BL 2025-1126, an ordinance authorizing the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County to accept new public sanitary sewer main, sanitary sewer manholes, and easements for 2 properties located at 1300 and 1310 Donaldson Pike, also known as Runway Logistics Out Parcel. Sponsors Bradford, Horton, and Evans Siegel. BL 2025-1127, an ordinance authorizing the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County to abandon existing public sanitary sewer mains, sanitary sewer manholes and easements, and to accept new public sanitary sewer main and sanitary sewer manholes for 3 properties located at 3909 and 3911 C Cross Creek Road and 2311 C Abbott Martin Road. Sponsors Ewing, Horton, and Evans Siegel. BL 2025-1128, an ordinance authorizing the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County to abandon existing public water and sanitary sewer main, fire hydrant assembly, sanitary sewer manhole and easements, and to accept new public water main, fire hydrant assembly, sanitary sewer manhole and easements for property located at 40 White Bridge Pike, also known as Novel Richland Creek. Sponsors Horton and Evan Siegel. And finally, BL 2025-1129, an ordinance authorizing the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County to accept new public water and sanitary sewer mains, fire hydrant assembly, and sanitary sewer manholes and easements for property located at 901 Haggard Street, also known as 325 West Trinity, Madison Trinity. Sponsors Toombs, Horton, Evan Siegel, and Gadd. Do I have a motion? Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? No. Okay. Can I see a show of hands? All those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 6, 7. Okay, 7 in favor. I'm number 7. Anyone against? Any not voting? Okay. Now we will go to the chair, who will take over the discussion for our final item.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Amazing job. Appreciate it. Oh, did you take? I think she was using. Never fails at the moment I sit up here, a child calls me. Item number 10, BL 2025-956, an ordinance to amend Chapter 12.40 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws regarding restrictions for street and alley parking. Can I get a motion? All right, it's been moved and seconded. Would the speaker like to say anything? It looks like you have a substitute. Oh, there you go.
I wanted to move the second substitute, assuming that the first one is no longer in existence, Brian.
Yeah, so I guess the first substitute is still on the bill, so this would be the second to substitute the first.
Yeah, so I don't want to move the first substitute. I want to move the second substitute.
Okay. All right, it's been moved and seconded. Would you like to describe the substitute?
I would just sum it up by saying that this is the version that came out of the TNP Commission, and it is a good balance between making our traffic and safety concerns addressed, while also managing the food truck and other large trucks that, park in the downtown area.
Okay. Thank you, sponsor. Councilmember Parker, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. And I definitely want to thank the lead sponsor for continuing to work on this. We did have a lot of discussion at the Traffic and Parking Commission. 2 meetings ago, we, I think, deferred consideration. And then at the last meeting, we had a lot of discussion, raised a lot of points that I think the sponsor and NDOT worked on to incorporate into this second substitute. So I'm really appreciative of that. You'll see in the legislative history that, this says that it's disapproved by the Traffic and Parking Commission. That was the first substitute that we considered at the previous meeting. So the commission did consider this second substitute, which is before the committee today, and we did vote to recommend that Metro Council approve this second substitute. So I just wanted to clarify the record there.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember Parker. Councilmember Allen, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There we go. So 2 points of clarification. One, I think it's, I appreciate the change to allow to allow these vehicles to be parked on public right-of-way while they are performing a service and while still allowing 12 feet of clearance, because I think that's the whole problem, that if they're blocking traffic, then that's a big problem. If there's a little bit of clarification, does providing service include a food truck providing food services? So does that, which in some cases I think is a service to people. So I think that's the distinction that's being made here. While it's serving as a food truck, it can park in the right of way, but it can't go home and spend the night in front of somebody's house if it's blocking traffic on a small street. Is that correct?
Special Counsel Darby, Councilmember Ellis?
Yeah, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. If they have a special permit to operate, in which I believe they do when they're operating the food trucks, then they would be allowed to, service. Give service.
Excellent. And then my second question.
Yeah, I just want to clarify with that. There is a whole process for food truck permits that allow them to take up parking spaces, and we went through that last year, I think, on TMP.
Right. Starting many years ago. And then the second question, we had a public comment that referenced this bill, and I don't know that this bill necessarily is the one that's going to be causing trouble for musicians parking on Music Row.
It's not.
So I think we will need to deal with that. I mean, and I will make a pledge to work with NDOT on trying to solve that issue, because we need to protect our musicians. But I just want to clarify, this is not the issue where we need to be trying to fix that issue. We need to be focusing in a couple other places on that one. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. That has to do with paid metered parking.
Paid meter parking. Okay, another issue. Great. We're on it, Mr. Pomeroy.
Okay, thanks. Yes, I'll Councilmember Horton and then Councilmember Coupin. Councilmember Horton?
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for the sponsor for continuing to work on this and this substitute. I wonder if the sponsor or perhaps a representative from NDOT could speak to the minimum 12-foot wide travel lane that must be retained for vehicular traffic. I think it makes sense for us to, address safety and traffic flow concerns. I'm curious if the 12-foot travel lane is different than what's required for passenger vehicles, and if it is different, why are we distinguishing between the two? Are there unique problems raised by these types of vehicles that require that type of travel lane, which are not raised by passenger vehicles? Just wondering if there's a difference there.
Okay, I think the council member asked for someone from NDOT to respond to that question. Is there somebody from NDOT who would like to take that?
Hello.
You're recognized, sir.
Chris Mitchell, Council Liaison, NDOT. It is not unique to a ordinary lane. It's same any lane. It's 12 foot.
Councilmember Horton, was NDOT able to answer your question?
Yeah, it makes sense on the type of roads, but as far as the type of vehicles, we're prohibiting these types of vehicles from parking except for daylight hours, provided they maintain a 12-foot travel lane. Is that 12-foot travel lane also required of passenger vehicles that might be parking on the side of the road?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Councilmember Horton, do you have any further questions? All right, Councilmember Coupin, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. Did the sponsor want to address that previous question? I'm happy to wait for her to address if she wants.
I think NDOT addressed the question and Councilmember Horton was satisfied with it.
Perfect.
Go ahead, Councilmember Coupin.
Thank you, Chair. So again, deep appreciation for the sponsor. I know that she's been working really, really hard on this bill and appreciate all the effort and time spent on it. I'm trying to understand, and I guess if I can ask someone from NDOT to clarify, would this preclude, is this to maintain a 12-foot right-of-way at all times, or would this bill preclude someone from parking on the street? So for example, and I don't know much about DOT class 4 vehicles, but I've learned, but if I were to buy a class 4 DOT large truck, for example, I think like a Ford F-450 might qualify. Would this mean that that truck can't be blocking the 12-foot clearance, or does that mean that I can't park my truck on my street?
All right. I think you said the sponsor or NDOT. Does the sponsor have a preference? Okay, I'll go to the sponsor, and then if needed, we can go to NDOT.
Yeah, so the 12-foot requirement for the space to allow the clearance of a fire engine is that 12-foot requirement. So whatever vehicle is parked on the sides of the road, there has to be 12 foot of space for an emergency vehicle to travel down.
Does that answer your question?
So it makes sense that you need that space for the fire truck to travel down. But if I'm parked on the side of the road, there's 12-foot clearance. By this bill, would that parked truck be in violation, or it wouldn't be in violation because this bill is getting at the 12-foot clearance? Makes sense.
No, do you think you could restate that?
So what I'm trying to understand is, because we're talking about the 12-foot clearance in this bill, but then also right-of-way in general. So if someone has a Ford F-450, which would be a Class 4 DOT truck, would this bill preclude them from parking on the side of the road, even if there is the clearance?
I see NDOT's at the table.
Yes, so this legislation would prohibit Class 4 vehicles from parking on the roadway.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
That does. Can I ask one other quick question? And then it talks about that they have to be actively in the loading and unloading kind of maneuver. How is that defined as far as what would that look like? And I'm trying to pull up the language, but there's a specific section about loading, unloading. How would we measure what that active loading and unloading would be?
I think NDOT would enforce that. So are y'all able to answer that question?
Sure. Can you hear me? Hey. Yes, my name is Brad Freeze. I work for the Nashville DOT. So answering that question, yes, we monitor through parking enforcement those activities. Loading would be obviously work, and it could be observed. People actually taking equipment or activities out of the vehicle and then onto the shoulder, or if there was for example, if you had someone doing some lawn care work, they would be unloading their lawnmower or that activity. So yes, it would be based on that activity. Would we consider it loading or unloading?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Freeze.
Thank you. Yeah, no, again, I appreciate the work of the sponsor. I'm really still struggling with this one, so I'm going to think about kind of what I want to do support wise. But I just worry that we're going to find ourselves in a situation where people who have delivery vans that's their line of work and they park it on their street with no issue are not going to be able to park on their streets, or landscapers, or if I've got a food truck and I have no off-street parking. So I appreciate what the bill's getting. I think there's been a lot of work done, but I still see some unintended consequences to the bill. So thanks.
All right. Thanks. Does anybody else have any questions? Councilmember Parker. Yes. Thank you for reminding me.
I just had a clarification. So the language that's sort of restated in this second substitute about leaving 12-foot travel or with a solid double center line, leaving both lanes, not creating a yield condition, that is already a requirement of parking anything in the street today. So if I took my little Ford Focus and got, left 9 foot between the edge of my little car and the yellow double center line, I would be creating a yield condition there, and that would not be allowed. So this language is being restated, I think, for clarity here, but that is an across the board. You cannot narrow a lane by parking a vehicle in it to less than 12 foot. And on a solid, that counts to the center of the solid yellow line. And on a unstriped street, you just got to have 12 foot, period. Doesn't have to be 24 there, but I just wanted to clarify that that's already in there. You can already get ticketed for that, even in a small passenger vehicle.
All right. Thank you for that clarification. I can think of many instances where I wish that people parking had known that. I have a question for NDOT, which is one thing that I've struggled with a little bit to understand on this is there are a lot of places in the city where people don't have driveway access or off-street parking access, and so they're dependent on on-street parking only. And a lot of people just don't hire movers. They have to rent a U-Haul or borrow somebody's truck to move. So I'm just curious how NDOT anticipates on those sort of moving van type situations enforcing this, because a lot of times people have to keep those overnight. You can't, and they don't have a place to park that in the city. So that's sort of been my ongoing concern with this, and I'm curious how NDOT looks at that.
As far as moving, the enforcement officer would use discretion, but there's also stated in the language that as far as what the council member talked about, people, if that's their livelihood and there's no driveway access, there's a permit process as well that would be implemented with this piece of legislation.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I think I remain more concerned about folks like renting their own moving vans and moving themselves than people in the business of moving. If you're hiring a mover, like you are in, you have been able to pay for that, which is a much more expensive service than if you were going out and renting a moving van yourself. Any for Councilmember Ellis? I saw you. I just want to make sure that we don't have any further questions, and if not, I can come back to you. Okay, seeing none, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to lift up Councilmember Coupin's concern. I'm curious if he took that before the TMP Commission and what feedback they had for you.
Councilmember Coupin, do you want to address that, or do you? Oh, I have to turn your mic on.
Thank you, Chair. I'm not sure if I understand what the question is.
Councilmember Ellis, would you like to?
Yeah, I don't want to belabor the point. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Any further comments or questions? Councilmember Spain.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I thought I understood where we were getting at, but given Councilmember Parker's comments that the 12-foot regulation is already required, I guess I'm struggling with what additional problem we're trying to solve.
Councilmember Parker?
So one thing I would ask folks to know, so we're currently on the second substitute and making a recommendation on that. And then we have the bill after that to consider. But there's code already on the books. And I would encourage folks to review what's already on the books and consider what we would be replacing it with here. And consider it in that context, not consider it in a context of, are we going to have anything to say about this space in the code? Because there's already things in the code about this space, and I find what's in the code today to be very problematic, and I find this second substitute to be a significant improvement on what's in the code today. So, the question isn't, do we have a say over this matter in the code? It's what do we have in the code, what's there today, or what Councilmember Ellis has proposed to change it to. So I think what we have before us is a substantial improvement, but again, I would just remind folks that there is stuff in the code today that covers this, and that we've identified some issues with it in discussion over the last months in this committee and at the Traffic and Parking Commission.
Right. Okay. All right. Seeing no more hands raised, we can take up the substitute. All in favor of the second substitute, say aye. Any opposed? Any not voting? Okay, so 7 in favor, 0 against, and 0 not voting on the second substitute. So on the bill as substituted, is there any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, all in favor, please say aye. Okay, any opposed? Any not voting? Okay, so that is 7 in favor, 0 against, and 0 not voting as substituted. Oh, I have 9. Sorry, I thought I heard 7 early on. Okay. So every time we said 7, just replace it with 9. All right. So on chair updates and reports, I know Councilmember Allen, you just had a meeting. Is there anything that you want to share following your solid waste meeting, or would you like to hold those and report back later?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thanks to those folks that came out and to the folks from Nashville Waste Services that showed up. I'm hoping that Matt Purvis will be on the agenda for the larger Transportation Infrastructure Committee to talk about the biggest thing we talked about, which is the route optimization. So we'll defer to Matt for that one.
Yes, Mr. Purvis is welcome to talk, but my understanding is that we are working on scheduling that. We have that update, and he's giving me the thumbs up, but okay, all right, yeah. He can confirm, but we're working on that as well as like snow removal and a bunch of updates coming up in
Okay,
a couple weeks.
in fact, in that case, I will just say that we heard about that and that the routes are being optimized. They will be more efficient. They will cost us less money, and they will get our garbage picked up in a better way. And so we encourage people to talk to the members of the subcommittee who have really nifty maps that we can show you.
Yep. And importantly, 4 days a week.
4 days a week.
Everybody's time frame is shifting, so I'm sure that will be stressful.
And it will probably be a different week from what people are used to. So we'll need to do good information.
Great. I would just ask solid waste to please not do that over the Christmas holiday so that we don't end up.
February, not till February.
February, thank you. All right. The next item on our agenda is an update on the WeGo Journey Pass. I know there was a lot of interest on this. That conversation is ongoing. I think a lot of members of this committee and the body as a whole had a lot of unanswered questions. And so WeGo is here today. They've also left you this updated information on your desk about how enrollment for Journey Pass is going. But wanted to invite them to update us, and then y'all can ask whatever questions you have. Yes, ma'am, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair Segal and committee members. I'm Amanda Vandergrift, Deputy CEO at WeGo Public Transit. I know there's been a lot of discussion regarding free fare rides during the shutdown, but I'm very glad to see that that's behind us now with the federal government's reopening. I'm excited to provide you with an overview of the Journey Pass program and an update on its rollout and a brief update on our other short-term community efforts as well. So the Journey Pass program, which you have a handout, I believe, shared with you, is the Nashville's largest ever free fare transit program. It's funded through the Choose How You Move program. It gives our eligible Davidson County residents living on a limited income free access to rides on WeGo Public Transit, not just today, but for 3 years from the day we hand it to them. At that time, then they'd verify their eligibility and it would continue. So this is not just a short-term solution, it's a long-term solution for transit access for our residents. As you know, this is a major undertaking. It's a national best practice. It takes time. It's a soft launch that we began back in September, and we were very thoughtful about it. We wanted to ensure that it wasn't an overwhelming impact to our system, but something that was thoughtful and strategically improving access to folks in the long term. To put it bluntly, we wanted to focus on strategic growth while not on disruptive swelling. Unfortunately, we had to pivot very quickly within 24 hours, if you remember when we were here last time, due to the federal shutdown and the needs of our neighbors. So within 24 hours, we completely turned around and opened up our registration to SNAP recipients. And I'm very proud of the work we did in such a short amount of time. We've hosted 30 different enrollment events. We heard your feedback and we opened it up for mornings and nights and weekends. So we've really been going around the clock since we last talked to you. Over a dozen of those were specifically for SNAP recipients. One thing I'm very excited about too, though, is thanks to the partnership with Metropolitan Action Commission, we are now really trained on how to verify SNAP recipients very quickly. It takes less than a minute. And we register ourselves at WeGo Public Transit. So now we're opening every event that we staff, which you have a listing of events that are coming up. We held one today. Any of those events a SNAP recipient can come to and get a Journey Pass. And so we actually hosted an event today with the Metropolitan Action Commission. We hosted events over the weekend. And we have more coming every day, more partners being added every day. So the cut sheet that you have today will be updated in the next few days with more events and more partners. So we're expanding rapidly. To date, we have registered and enrolled more than 4,500. So that's as of Friday. So it's going up from there. We'll have new numbers this week. That equates to about 42,000 free trips on our services across Davidson County. So if you conservatively look at that as $65 monthly pass that we're handing out over 3 years, that equates to a little over $11 million in direct, immediate assistance and long-term assistance. That's significant life-changing work that should be applauded. We're very proud of it. I'll tell you, I actually got the chance to, and this was a meaningful moment for me in my professional career, to hand out cards to individuals and register them myself. And I heard things like blessing, life-changing, excitement to save money, excitement to have a way to get to work that's affordable. This is really important work, and we're focusing on it at WeGo. So while that's amazing, I also want to mention too that we have also taken some other steps to provide assistance to those in Davidson County through our partners at Metro Social Services, MDHA, Metro Action Commission. We handed out over 8,000 cards. They're all-day free passes, so that, because we heard you that you were a little concerned about people getting to our enrollment events. So we felt handing out those cards would give people the cards, the access they need to get to the registration events without causing an additional burden. In addition to that, given cold weather season kicking off, we've been partnering with the Office of Homeless Services, provided cold weather cards, 350 of them. And Office of Homeless Services is actually our first partner who can register Journey Passes in-house. So that's our goal, is to continue to have our partners actually be where people go to get the Journey Pass, so they don't have that added burden. So all of our work and the focus of the program, since we began developing it back in the spring of this year, is providing both a short-term and long-term solution. So really focusing on improving access long-term. And I'm happy to take any questions now. Thank you for the opportunity to update.
Oh,
Work.
sorry. I was
No
trying
worries.
to turn mine on. I hit yours. It's not.
You're fine.
turning it
No,
off.
thank you for the opportunity to update you on this important work, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Okay, we'll do just a few questions. Vice Chair Ewing, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. I don't really have a question. I just wanted to thank you. I wanted to thank the team for their responsiveness. I know that we were hammering you guys with a lot of emails and requests, so I just wanted to extend my appreciation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Vice Chair. Councilmember Parker.
Yeah, thank y'all for everything y'all have done so far, and especially getting the WeGo Central events set up. I know that was probably difficult with how spread thin everybody was, but I think it was a really great thing to do. Something that I've talked with a couple of people at WeGo about in the past is having some kind of mechanism to kind of do like a 30-day fare-free situation. I think the last time we were really talking about it was when gas prices spiked like crazy, which happens from time to time. Different things happen that impact people economically and ability to get around. And I wonder if it's worth thinking through, like, ahead of time before the next crisis. Like, what does it look like to be able to say, to ring the bell and say, oh, there's an emergency, we're going to just do fare suspension for 30 days because, like, either gas prices are $9 a gallon or, something's happening in the world that we recognize as, like, we need to try to bridge people as best we can here. And I guess that's not really a question, but I would just ask if y'all could explore that, and I'd love to talk with you more about, like, what that might look like and how it might be implemented. I also think, like, in the, if gas goes up to $9 a gallon, I think it's going to be all anybody's talking about, and it would be some really good free publicity for the system. I think we would probably be on every local news network for a couple of evenings if we did something like that. So the benefit there might outweigh the cost even. So just if we could consider trying to think through that ahead of time, like before the next crisis, I think that would be a really great way to position ourselves. Thank you.
Thanks, Councilmember. I would just like to echo that. I would say it's not just those who qualify for Journey Pass who really struggled this month. Federal workers still have not been paid from the shutdown. So those are people who probably wouldn't qualify for a Journey Pass, but have gone multiple paychecks without receiving a dime for the work that they're doing. And we have 16,000 of them in the Nashville area. So it's 16,000 people who were working without pay for a month and still haven't been paid. So while it's great that we can ramp up, and I really appreciate that, to reach those who are needed, we reached 4,500 folks. There are, I think, 60,000 SNAP recipients in Nashville, plus 16,000 federal workers. That's a really large portion of the folks in our area who are not getting food assistance and paychecks. And so the ability to pivot in the circumstance we had is really critical. And I think WeGo in particular has a place of trust, and the voters gave you that place of trust last year when they voted to pay more taxes to fund a better system. And so we need to be able to quickly repay that trust to them, even if it's tornadoes, floods. You can imagine in 2010 a pause on fares so people could get around to get supplies they need could have been helpful. So I would encourage y'all to think about a policy so we can be more nimble and responsive to the voters who agreed to pay a regressive tax to fund the system. Anybody else? All right. Seeing none, we have no further business and we are adjourned.